My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring.
Face the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. And Father, we pause and take this time just to thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessing for this day. We ask your blessing on this club, on each member here. I pray, Lord, that you would teach us and help us to learn to love and to serve like Jesus. We thank you for this food. We ask your blessings upon that. All these things in Christ's name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So we have our member, Rob Nepper, who has set our screen up that's going to roll every week with some different information from the club and what's going on and things like that. He's going to take the time to explain a little bit about that and also the website that's available to everybody. Or have you already?
Yeah, no, it's not the website. It's just a new email address. It's
Ah.
on this handout. And that's the only email address on this machine. If you send your PDFs or anything you want up here, email it to that email address. I'll get it. I can work on it from home. And when you open this up, it'll be right there.
That's beautiful.
Ready to run.
That's terrific.
So,
We're proud of you for doing that, man. I'm telling you.
someone else is running your website, our website.
That Brandon Gaines is running the website. That's
But any advertisements or any yeehaws for anybody, send them to that new email address. It'll be on here.
terrific. Good job, Rob. Appreciate it so much. The first February 28th is Dr. Seuss. And starting it next week, we hope, it hasn't been totally confirmed, this is going to be on the billboard at Paul Huff and Stewart Road. It shows the Kiwanis Club. It gives us a indication that we are responsible for the care of the children of Cleveland Bradley County. Gives us a little mission statement at the bottom. So it's something, it's knowledge for people. I'm not going to say it's public. It's not for publication. It's just knowledge for people. Hopefully we welcome people to come to Kiwanis and be a part of the club. So we're happy about that. Doug, yeah. We got a Mr. Kiwanian?
We do. Hugh Walker is our mystery today.
Hugh?
And you?
Paul Ramsey. Is that 2 weeks in a row, Paul?
No.
Oh. Just kidding.
But I'll take it. Yeah, 3 weeks in a row. Give me all the
Yeah, right. Yeah. I hear you. So we've also got we've got a few Georgia fans in the crowd here. Bruce Bradford, of course, and Cliff Eason, and I'm going to introduce Dwight Watt, who is our lieutenant governor. He's here visiting. We've got to give him a round of applause, even though he's Georgia.
What you're saying is we're in the presence of greatness.
We're in the presence of greatness, and speaking about the greatness, it appears to me that the end of the game last night was pretty unique. It seems to me like Georgia, very smart group, but I don't think they took math. I think Barnes told him, nobody saw the game. I think when Barnes told him in the timeout to if the guy drives the lane, let him score. That's what they did. They didn't realize they had to have 3 points instead of 2.
Way to go, dogs.
It's pretty good. So I think that's all I've got. Bruce, I'm going to turn it. Oh, Kay. Oh, Kay's got a sign-up sheet for Dr. Seuss. Bubba.
Shutman Fadden opened up his new store last Saturday. The Apple Valley Orchard store,
Okay.
Highway 64. And
Yeah.
he had over 1,000 customers.
No kidding.
So we're actually trying to get him another 1,000.
Well, I think that's great. That's terrific.
Very happy.
Yeah, I would say so. That's great. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna pass around the sheets again. It's time for us to volunteer to be judges for the 4-H speech contest in February. And hopefully these will be good, good days of weather, you never know. But if you will, just sign your name. If you've got a family member or a friend that wants to judge with you, sign their name. We just need cell numbers.
That's great. Yeah, judging's a lot of fun. You guys really enjoy it. That's terrific. Great. Thanks so much. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, I think that, Bruce, I'm going to turn it over to you. Introduce our guest.
Yes. First, good to have Mr. Andy Wattenberger with us today.
Glad to have you, Andy.
And today's guest, most of you know, so I'm going to keep the introduction brief, but we are very fortunate, in my opinion, to have outstanding leadership in our community. And one of those certainly is none other than our Chief Mark Gibson. Please give a warm Kiwanis applause. Oh, yeah, Ethan, I'm sorry.
That's Bruce.
All right, I had to take the long way around there. So, first of all, thank you, Bruce, for the invitation. I'll be the first one to tell you this. I never was the 4-H speech guy. When I went through 4-H, I never was the one that won the speech contest. So, this is not my strong point. But I do realize that I followed Sheriff Lawson, so it shouldn't be that challenging to get to you guys. So I've followed him before. It's a pretty easy crowd to get him. But I'm Mark Gibson. I was born and raised here in Cleveland. Lived here my whole life. This is my 28th year with the Cleveland Police Department, and I've started my 11th year as the police chief. So I'm going to leave a little more time for questions, because normally I cover a lot of information very quick, and sometimes I don't hit what you really want to know about. And when you get a different crowd, they have different questions depending on what the topics are today. But a little bit about my career. Like I said, this is my 11th year. I just finished up as the Tennessee Association Chiefs of Police President. I served as a term there, and now I went into the past president. So that organization is has been very impactful to me, and that's the reason I mention it. When I became chief, I had about 18 years of experience and not a lot of executive experience. So when I came in to that spot, I really had a large learning curve. And people ask me about the job, I tell them it's the worst job in law enforcement I've ever had, and it really is. And I'm blessed and I'm appreciative of it, but it is one of the toughest ones. It's a lot more challenging than I've ever expected to be, because it is so far removed from exactly what you signed up for. You're not in the law enforcement world as much as you are in the community relations and the networking and representing and being a liaison for your department. So I have Assistant Chief Stacy Smith and Operations Division Captain Matt Jenkins, Captain E.B. West, who was here a couple of weeks ago, and then Captain Andy Wattenberger. Captain Andy Wattenberger is he's over the new division that we started for the Criminal Investigations Division. So the Operations Division mainly handles patrol. And then you have Evie that talked to you about community relations and her role, covering the SROs, training, accreditation, professional standards, that type of level. So one of the needs that we saw is our growth in investigations. So we have a criminal investigations division that works everything from from minor thefts to homicides or major cases. And we also had started recently a criminal intelligence unit. So the criminal intelligence unit is one of the units that we're really very proud of that we recently began. And so as that unit started growing, we felt like we needed to structure a little higher. And so that's where Andy comes in. He's spent most of his career as a crime scene tech and an investigator. And now he's over that whole division. So they're very critical to what we do as an operation. And where this criminal intelligence unit comes in is we have adjusted to an intel-led policing model several years ago. And what that means basically is that we try to identify the 10% of the people that are causing 90% of the problems. And where that becomes challenging in our community is that even though we're about 50 to 50,000 plus citizens, our service population is much higher. And it's much higher because we have a lot of industry where people come in from the rural counties into our city to do to work or do business. We have I-75 that runs down through the middle of our city, and then you're a part of a county and you're bordering Georgia. You're just right down the road from North Carolina. So any given day of the week, we could have to 150 to 200,000 people coming into the city of Cleveland doing business on a daily basis. So that's the service population. Now, unfortunately for us, is we get staffed for dealing with 50 to 50,000, 55,000 people. So that becomes challenging when 30 to 45% of who you're dealing with are non-citizens. And so we really had needed a mechanism to identifying that. Because there's no secret to law enforcement and crime fighting. Identification is about 99% of it. Once you identify who your problems are, working cases around them become a lot easier. So that's where this unit comes in. And what's different about this unit is we've got crime analysts, people that come in and look at every report and look at everything that's reported and try to identify trends and patterns. And they also utilize public safety cameras, the cameras that we have on greenways, license plate readers, those types of things to tie people into criminal activity and then focus on them. What that does is it reduces the amount of interactions that we have with good citizens that are doing their daily business because we can be more focused and targeted. And so what we've seen in the trend is like our calls for service going down, our crime rates going down, and the shift of complaints going down because we don't have as many negative interactions because we are more focused and have that intelligence on who we need to focus our energy and our efforts on. So we're not blindly going out and trying to interact with people. So that unit has really been impressive. And so just in the last couple of years that we put this together, some of the highlights we had just simple things like on the Greenway, a lady her wallet and ID, she left them somewhere. She goes back to pick it up, and of course it's gone. Somebody picks it up. Within minutes, they're able to identify who picked it up, locate that individual, and recover her items. Now it's a small task, but she's got her wallet back, and everybody knows how difficult it is to replace things like your IDs and your credit cards and all those things. So getting that back is a big deal. But all the way to the Barcoo shooting, Barcoo Plastics got national attention for the shooting where 2 German nationals were killed by an employee that they were terminating. What was unique about that situation is for the first time in a critical event was a crime in progress where officers responding. Our crime intelligence guys were in the live center running information as it was being called in. And so by the time our officers had got on the scene, they had already pulled up vehicle information, address information, all background information on who we thought was the suspect, and was able to relay that to police officers before they even got on the scene. And we were able to relay that information to the county sheriff's department, and they almost beat the suspect back to his house. And that was what was amazing because I responded to the scene as we were pulling up. We were getting the information as we were pulling up. Our officers in the intel center were feeding us what cars we need to be looking for, directions of travel, all those things. So it was so much intel coming in, it was kind of overwhelming. But that's the difference here when you're dealing with that stuff. We had an incident where a young lady reported that she was sexually assaulted and robbed on the Greenway. We were able to utilize the cameras to prove that it didn't actually happen. So that's the other thing too, is instead of us investigating something that didn't happen, we were able to determine very quickly that it didn't happen. So that keeps us from tying up resources and energy that we would normally do. So that's something to be watching. We're growing this unit. We were not given staff or money for staffing, so we're kind of having to fix that as we go, and that's always a challenge. You kind of work with what you got, and that's one of the challenges. But that's one of the reasons we implement with Andy Wattenbarger. We put him in place because as that unit grows and that technology grows, and we become more technology dependent on working cases, we have to have that infrastructure set up. So that's something you'll see a lot about. And one of the things that we started was a crime suppression unit. So just tell you about our crime suppression unit. It does the same thing. It looks at high crime areas. It looks at criminal problems. It helps us identify individuals in the community that are committing most of our actions. And this unit has been very instrumental and doing a lot of good things. So incident over the weekend. This is where over the weekend. So you'll never see this in the media. You'll never probably hear about it. But we had a young lady that 15 years old. She ran off with her 40-year-old neighbor, and within hours, we were able to locate her safely in Houston, Texas, and because by the time it was reported to us, we were already behind the eight ball looking for her, but we were able to find her safely. We were able to identify the individual that she ran away with because he's not an American citizen, so his name is not exactly who he was, and we've been able to figure that out. And it was because of crime suppression's work. It was because of this intel unit. Our officers were able to do that. And what makes it unique as well is that we don't have to depend on federal agencies. We don't have to depend on state agencies. We're able to do this stuff ourselves because of our commitment to training and purchasing the equipment and software and things that we need to do those things. So we're really proud of that advancement. Part of the criminal intelligence unit as well is we've got a canine that was given to us on a grant through the Secret Service, and this canine this is the change of times. This canine has the ability to locate and find software like SD cards, thumb drives, any kind of electronic device that will hold information and data. And the reason that becomes important is because, as you know, everybody in front of them has a computer in front of them on their cell phone. So most of our crimes, most things that we have that are going on have a direct nexus to the use of your cell phone. And when we deal with cyber crimes or we deal with child exploitation, child pornography, those types of things, the devices that they will hide stuff on are now as big as your thumbnail or as big as your pinky nail, and can be hidden and hard to find. So we now have a canine that we utilize that can find these things. And so part of our ICAC or Crimes Against Children unit has access to this animal that can find these things and come in and identify those items. So these are the types of things and innovations that we're looking forward to, that we're going to see advance. And a lot of information on it. I'm just trying to get the highlights of it so you can kind of understand kind of what direction we're headed as a department. But to go over a couple of things, since 2015, when I take over till 2025, we've had 26 homicides in the city of Cleveland, and those 26 homicides, we have 100% clearance rate. So I don't know. Did anybody suspect that we had more than that? do you think, on the homicides? I think that's kind of the misconception. I've asked this question, back when the use of force and police use of force was a big topic in 2020. I used to ask the question, how many people do you think the Cleveland Police Department shot, or how many shootings were we involved in? And I had a difference of answers. And at that time, we had two in the last 10 years. And so it's not very common. Homicides are not very common, but even when they do take place, because of the training and the dedication of our men and women, we got 100% clearance rate. And I think there was a period of time here until 2024, we went 3 years without a homicide. And so the safety of this community is top priority, but it's also something that we've seen decline. Overall, we've seen about a 22% decrease in just general crime altogether in the past 3 years. Our calls for service is about 51,000 calls for service that we deal with. So just to kind of give you an idea, probably 2014, we were 61 to 65,000 calls for service. And so those calls for service has dropped, and that's, again, an indication of where we're at as a department and as a community. We're identifying the right people. We got the district attorney's office, the sheriff's department that we work very well with, that are really seeking out prosecution on the right individuals and identifying the ones that are causing a majority of your issues. So that's one of the things that we look at there. We started a crisis intervention team, and I know Evie talked to you guys about that a little bit, but we have seen our use of forces. If we answer 51,000 calls, we arrest about 4,000 people. How many events of use of force do you think we see? So what I would say, use of force is any type of extra force to take somebody into custody. Out of 51,000 calls, 4,000 arrests, how many would you suspect that we would have? Well, we had 90, so that's about 0.04% of the events that we deal with. In crisis intervention calls, we answered 196 calls for people in mental crisis, and our teams were interacting with them and used zero force. So they didn't have to use force any. And what makes that unique as well is that we are one of the few agencies that if we draw a firearm and point it at you, that is a use of force. A lot of agencies don't report that, but we do. And the reason we report that is because we want to show how many times we are justified in using our firearm, but are able to make good decisions and rationale without compromising the safety of our officers and make good judgment calls and without using firearms. So that's an impressive number. It's something I'm very proud of with our department, because they're not compromising their safety to do this. We encourage them to protect themselves at any cost, but we do not compromise their safety to do this. They are making good decisions. They're doing it with training, and they're following their training. And so that goes to the next question. How many formal complaints do you think that we had last year? People that came in the street said, your officer did this and I'm mad. A lot.
That number corresponds with the number of attorneys.
Let's say how many times we've been sued, but no, we've had zero. Last year we had zero. And the determining factor on that is the fact that we have body cameras and in-car cameras, and so those complaints have bottomed out. So most action that we take on disciplinary action on officers and even termination of officers is initiated by our administration. Things that we have seen or things that we've picked up on that we see that we have to take action on. So that's another issue that we see that we're very proud of, is that it doesn't change the lawsuits. We get sued, but we win. And most of the time when lawsuits come through, our officers are not even aware of it. they go through a process where they're dismissed on summaries, and the officers that are involved or named are really not even inconvenienced because they haven't done anything wrong. So that's a positive thing as well. But we're a CLIA accredited agency. CLIA basically is a international and national accreditation association that looks at police officers and police departments and looks at the best standards and best practices. So we follow their the recommendations and standards that they give us, and they come in every year and look at our policies and procedures. We have to prove that we're following them, and that we meet the standards that they set forth for us. So on the fourth year, they come and do the on-site, which we're about to have our on-site in March, and on that on-site, we're up for our fifth accreditation award, and we're at the advanced level. So there's about 4% of the police departments in the country that are CLIA accredited agencies. So that's another accomplishment that we've been able to achieve because of the men and women that we have working for us. Because we have to come up with the best practices, but they also got to show that we're following those practices. That's what leads to the reduction of use of forces. That's what leads to your reduction in complaints and disciplinary issues. So those are some of the things that I wanted to highlight about our agency. And then to go over some of our challenges. I know you hear this, and then I'll open it up to questions because, like I said, I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but I just want to be sure our challenges, of course, are emerging technology. AI is going to be a huge thing for us to deal with. Hiring and retention of officers. That's still a challenge. We've had 60 in 5 years. We had 64 officers leave the agency, and we've had to hire to replace those. And so we're a 108 officer agency, so that's pretty significant. And it's for different reasons. They retire or they just get disenchanted with the job. But pay is a lot of the issue. I know you heard the sheriff talk about their pay issues. We recently had a pay increase to our starting pay to $54,000. And the challenge is you want people that have an investment in your community, and you want the people that live in you want them to live in your community and have a value in the community. Unfortunately, we're not paying the wages where they can afford or find places to live here. They're not able to. So we're hiring people that are living outside of Cleveland, outside of Bradley County, and sometimes they find jobs other places, and they can't find affordable housing to stay here. So that prompts them to leave. And then the challenges of the job, the frustration of the job. Right now, we're on a kind of a high. We're not where we were in 2020 after COVID and George Floyd and those things, but we're still finding that challenge because when people leave, we don't have 200 applicants to smoke through. We've got a handful of applicants, and we can't lower our standards and just fill the seat. We've got to make sure we pick the right person and the right mentality and the right person that can support the culture that we have and the mission of the Cleveland Police Department. So that seems to be the biggest challenge for us is that recruitment and retention, and then everything else is kind of business as usual. But we kind of we constantly have to work to make sure we get those the right people in those seats. So those are some of the challenges that we're seeing in the future that we haven't mitigated through. Plus the amount of growth. If you pay attention to any council meetings, they're on the consent agenda. There's tons of annexation property for anywhere from half an acre to 40 to 50 acres. And those 40 to 50 acres, they're building 100 homes on. It just depends on the developer, but they're building smaller lots, smaller homes, but it doesn't change the amount of people that are in those homes. So that service population starts to grow, and it becomes more challenging. Back in 2024, we actually changed our sector maps because we anticipate the growth, and so our calls for service, our time calls for service, we know that's going to affect that. when you get these outlying areas. So what do you think the average time for call for service is, or if you call the police? What would you expect it to be?
3 to 4 minutes.
3 to 4 minutes. On the average, it's 7-minute response time on the average. So that's been pretty consistent with that over the last couple of years, and so that's what we want to improve it to. We want to improve it to a couple of minutes. But when you add in non-emergency calls, theft reports, and things like that, they'll hold. For the first time in my career, probably about 12 years ago, I noticed that calls got held. And we just never had that. When I started in 97, it just didn't happen where you hear dispatch go, we have 4 calls holding. And that's because we didn't have anybody to respond. And so you hold that call, prioritize it, and then get somebody there as soon as you can. So on average, it's a 7-minute response time. And it's been pretty consistent the last couple of years. And that's one thing that we're always working toward to lower. Now, other cities, other agencies, some of them get up into the hours response time averages. So we work very diligently to make sure that we respond out there, address your need, and handle it, but also that we have the time to spend with you to resolve your problem, not just to come out and give you a quick answer and leave, but to respond out there and give you time and resolve your issue. So that cuts down on us having to come back. So, but threw a lot of information out there. I was going to open up the questions to see if there's anything that you have specifically that you want to know about our agency, or any trends or anything that you have questions about. Yes, sir.
What's your relationship with ICE?
I like it. Drinks. It's wait.
Great answer.
Our relationship with ICE is positive. If we really don't have a relationship with them because they really don't come in and ask us for anything. Here in Bradley County and Cleveland, where we're seeing the most interactions through the jails. The jails have an agreement, which I'll be honest with you, there's nothing that's really changed in the last 30 years. When in 1997, when I started working, when we go to the jails and we brought somebody in, they would put holds on them, and sometimes they would deport them, sometimes they wouldn't. It depends on the political climate and administration. That's what it depends on. We become the brunt of that and get the brunt of that. But our relationship is pretty simple. I think the jail has deported 46 individuals from their jail in 2025. And that's people that are brought in on state charges that have been arrested for various crimes in the community. So that's where we get the most interaction. If you're arrested in this community and you're not here legally, you're probably getting deported. If you're operating in this community and you're working and you're not causing issues and you're here illegally, you're probably not going to get noticed. And that's kind of the relationship we've had. I believe in their mission to get back control of the borders and get control of what's coming in here, because what I see is fentanyl coming into their community and was selling for $3 to $5 a pill because of the open borders, and tens of thousands of people dying from overdoses. Our officers every week doing CPR and Narcan people that are blue-lipped and not breathing and bringing them back to life because they were able to afford a $3 to $4 pill that was brought in over the border. Methamphetamine, we don't have labs anymore. We don't have meth labs anymore because it's so readily available coming through the borders. It's nice quality ice methamphetamine that sells cheap. So that's the biggest problem I have with it, and that's the biggest issue that I've seen. So we do support their mission. I think you have a lot of areas around us that it's a perfect storm of bullheaded politicians that can't get on the same page to do what's right. But as far as the rule of law, we'll work with them if they need them. But our interaction with them with us is at this point is primarily through the jail. When somebody's brought to the jail, just depending on their status and what crime they're committed, they're deported. And if they show up and need us to go detain someone, we'll be there. But that's a general the part of it, and that's why we don't have any problems. You see them operating in every city across the country, and there's only certain ones that have just major problems, and it's because of other people, not because of what the mission is. It's because of who's controlling the mission. See, that's on both sides of the aisle. My opinion. so, yes, sir.
Sheriff Lawson was saying that now with the license plate readers, they can see who's coming up the interstate
Mhm.
or down as it may be, but I guess up is more common.
Mhm.
Do they share that knowledge with you that, hey, there's a stolen car coming?
Yeah,
So y'all know
right.
also know what's coming?
Yeah, so what happens on LPRs is as simple as putting it on your phone. We have licenses for all our officers on the phone. So the way LPRs work is they don't read every license plate. They identify a license plate that has something attached to them in NCIC. So if we entered you as wanted for murder in NCIC, or the vehicle stolen, or you're missing, or you're a suspect with an endangered child, or a part of an Amber Alert, and it's entered into NCIC, and that vehicle plate and information is entered in there. When it hits that LPR, it alerts whoever in that jurisdiction has a license to read that. And so it'll alert you and tell you that this vehicle that's reported stolen has just hit this LPR at this location, and then you go look for it. Or it can be used after the fact. Like if we have a major crime that takes place, or a crime that takes place, we could go back. If we have a suspect vehicle, we can go back and search LPR, because I think it keeps it for like 30 days. Is that right? 30 days before it purges off. So you could go back and research and see if a vehicle matches that description or that tag number hit an LPR and get additional information. But it's purged off. There, we don't keep any records of it. It doesn't maintain a database, but it has to be entered into the National Crime Information Computer before we receive any kind of update. So if we are tied in with the Sheriff's Department, and any user around us that have the same LPRs, we have access to that information. We had a homicide. It got national news too. It was a Cuban national that was here illegally. Killed his wife or girlfriend. I can't remember if this was a wife or girlfriend. We were able to track him and locate him in Texas before he got across the border, and arrested him on a stretch of highway headed to the border. And we primarily used LPR information to track his whereabouts, and we're able to finally able to get ahead of him to get him in custody. So that's how those things work. When we put together this crime center, it was we called it Operation Blue Shield, but it's basically the ideal of putting a hedge of protection around the city and the county, to understand that if you're coming into the community to commit crimes, we're gonna be able to identify you and take that action, use that information to prosecute you. So that's kind of the ideal of it. So the communication with the Sheriff's Department and our local agencies around us is very strong. Yes, sir.
Two things. First, the statistics you gave us are incredible. I mean, I'm glad you're telling us about those. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
That is extraordinary, Chief, and to your team and everybody. Bravo. And thank you as a citizen. Second thing, what role does Mr. Wattenberger play for your department?
He's a captain over criminal investigations. He has, under his command, he has a lieutenant that's over crime suppression. He has a lieutenant that's over criminal investigations, a lieutenant over the intel center. Those all fall under his command, and then he's part of our executive staff that make our pertinent decisions on purchasing, staffing, and manpower, and problem solving, and all those things. So we're very fortunate to be able to add that portion to our command staff, because it's a critical part of everything we do. We want that intel center to be the hub, like the center of the hubcap, where all the information is going in and going out to our staff to make sure that we're making the best decisions, identifying the right people. And again, it lowers those negative interactions with most everybody that we deal with are good citizens. When we deal with them, they're having a bad day, but they're still good citizens. And so that's their intentions, is we want to have positive interactions, and we don't want to go out here blindly looking for people that we suspect are involved in things. If you're driving a white car and we get a white car, we don't want to stop every white car. Okay, we want to stop the right white car, because if we stop 10 white cars to get to the bad guy, there's not people that's not gonna be happy, so that's kind of what we're trying to avoid. Yes, sir.
Were there any legal repercussions to that young lady that claimed to be raped and robbed on Greenway?
Yeah, there are legal repercussions. I don't really know right off the top of my head because there could be. What's going to depend on is her mental status and maybe what she may have going on and what efforts she made to report this. I believe she was charged and prosecuted for that, but we also have some empathy and understanding that sometimes people are just not in the right, not having a good week or something, but the good news is we didn't spend a lot of time and resources to looking for that. We were able to very quickly resolve the issue that we are not looking for a predator. Then we can focus on, well, how do we handle this situation? How do we handle her? And we do that judiciously through the course of try to figure out the best option. Our goal is not to put everybody in jail. It's the correct action. If we can figure out a way that's going to get her back on track, then okay. But she needs to be prosecuted. Yeah, that's perfectly fine as well. Yes, sir.
Cleveland Police Department and Cleveland City Schools have had a long-standing relationship, and it's
Yes.
been very, very positive. And I want these guys to know that not only do you guys provide SROs for all the schools, you also provide security for any of our large events like football games or graduation and so forth. Anytime we call you, you provide security for us, for different events and so forth. A lot of your staff members have served and helped us with emergency operations plans on our safety teams and so forth. Well, would you talk a little bit about the newest program that we have going with the buses patrol?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's on my list. I just didn't hit it. We have SROs in every school in the city, and right now we're doing that through a grant. But even before the grant, we had a great partnership with the school system on kind of splitting the cost on making sure that we have those people in the schools for the safety of our students. And the city schools have made a huge investment in the safety and welfare of their children, not just with SROs, but just programs altogether. So we have that great working relationship, and we have SROs that are not just there by title. They are fully invested in the care and in the schools. Sometimes we have to remind them that they work for the Cleveland Police Department, not the school system, and it's a good problem. It's a good problem to have. But the new program that he's talking about is the city schools really they initiated this program because they had a problem with people running the school bus stop bars, a serious problem, and I know Hal Taylor and the school system has talked about it for years of trying to remedy that. So they were actually able to find a program, and we're one of the first in the state for Tennessee that is following this. But it's put camera systems on these stop bars on the buses. So we're right now in the warning phase of it. We've done the PR push out, and then we go into the warning phase, and then we start issuing citations. But the camera captures violators that pass the school buses, and they will be issued a citation. And our department is working with the school system to facilitate that program. So the Cleveland Police Department will work with the company. They'll issue a citation, and then we'll follow up with the prosecution on it. But I know during the pilot process, when they piloted the program, it was an unbelievable amount of violations where people are blatantly running past these stop bars, and we're talking about kids about to step out on the roadway to get on the bus and cars zooming by. And so again, it's one of those things of the school system thinking outside the box on keeping their kids safe and the welfare of their kids. And they partnered with us to do that. They brought us in on it, and it's a great program. We're looking at other programs that kind of do the same thing. It's all about changing the culture, making sure people pay attention, and I think it's another great partnership where we've had with them for I don't know how many years we've had SROs, but we're one of the few agencies that didn't drop our SRO programs whenever things got tough and times got tough. The school system's always stuck with us. They've always encouraged us and cooperated and worked with us, and we've always worked together to make sure we do what's best for the students. So, but that get everything? I think
You covered it well.
yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because we're real. I'll tell you this part too. They did a grant program to provide. The Governor Lee wanted to do a grant program to provide an SRO for every single school in the state of Tennessee, and so it pays up to $75,000 to every school in the state of Tennessee. And unbelievably, we had schools in the state of Tennessee that said, nope, we don't want them in there. And but the city school systems here in Cleveland, we were the model. We were one of the models for the MOUs through the state of Tennessee to write this grant. They used the model of our SRO program, the MOU that we currently had in place, and I think you've probably seen the one that they presented. There wasn't too much difference in what we already had in place. So for us, it was an easy transition. I mean, all we did is sign some paperwork and we were done. And it's a great opportunity for us to provide those SROs, but it also is a testament to the working relationship that we've had because we were used as a model for that program, and actually sent Commissioner Long's office and talked about our MOU, and it was used as a model to develop one for the statewide. So it's a very great working relationship, and as the city grows with block parties and parades and all that, the demands on our staff to provide security have increased, but our staff hasn't. So we have to make that work. And I remember we had 50 events out of 52 weekends that we had to provide people to work special events, and that's with no additional staff. We just had to borrow and beg to make sure we got it covered. So, yes, sir.
What are your entry level requirements for police officers as far as training and education and all that?
Yeah, well, right now it's a high school diploma, and we have a written test. We have a physical agility, an interview, a ride along, psychological, medical background, intensive background, all to get qualified to be considered for employment. We waive the test if you've got an advanced degree or if you're already post certified from another agency. If you're hired, you go through a 11 to 12 week police academy, depending on where we send you, and then at least a 13-week field training program where you'll ride with 4 different field training officers to be evaluated before you're released. And so, but the basic requirements right now is 21 years of age and at least a high school diploma, and we give preferences on education, military, things like that. There was a trend years ago where it was almost to the point where we were going to require a degree because we had so many applicants, but that's gone the other direction now because just the lack of applicants that we're getting. So, but we have not lowered the standards and will not lower the standards for hiring. We just try to do without, make do with what we have.
You use Cleveland State for your training stuff?
We do not, and I have a reason for that, is that we can talk about later. But yes, sir.
What is the determining factor on how many officers you have? Is it population or area? What is it?
Yeah, it depends on who you ask, but the kind of the model that we follow is it's around 2.3 officers per 1,000 people is kind of some of the standards that are set. CLIA kind of pushes that. It does have to do with service area and population is primary thing. That's kind of where we get cheated a little bit, because if we're looking at your 2020 census was crap. It was, they didn't even count. They didn't go into certain areas. So your 2020 census is no good. So there's no telling how many people we have living here. But if you go with 50 to 55,000, that's how you would base how many officers you should have. But when you factor in I-75, the 1,000 students go to Lee University, the rural counties around us that have people that come in and work every day, it's not really a fair shake on that. So we kind of gauge it off of calls for service, population, and just overall needs where we see the deficiencies. So it's a little bit complicated on doing that, but it really gets down to who we could convince that has money, the financial purse strings to give us additional staffing. So, any other questions?
Chief, thanks so very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Are you fully staffed now?
No, we're 9
What
down.
are you running, about 110, is it trying to be 108?
We're 108. We're at right down at 99 right now, and so that's if I go back to the office, we may be 98, but I don't. But we're 99 right now.
Let's hope not.
We let you come this way,
Yes, sir.
goes.
Appreciate it. Oh, yeah.